What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Brad back with another video. And what we're going to talk about in this video is the CCRN exam, how I've recently taken that, passed that, and what methodologies I used in order to achieve the success in passing the exam first time around. Let's dive in.
Are you listening? Nurse Pass. Beast mode. Grind.
So I've recently taken the CCRN exam. As you guys know, if you've been following along, I'm on the journey towards anesthesia school. And I've also recently taken the cardiac surgery certification exam, and I passed that as well. We'll touch on that in a future video. But today we're going to talk about the CCRN. So CCRN, I think it was previously called the Critical Care Registered Nurse exam, is what most people pretty much know it as, but they officially say it's not for critical care registered nurse. That's not what it stands for. I don't really remember why. There's some sort of stipulation, like we can't ensure that those who have this certification are actually critical care nurses. I think that's pretty much what it boils down to. But anyway, that's pretty much what it is, and it's a pretty difficult exam. If I recall correctly, I think it's 150 test questions, 25 of which are not really graded. They're just used for testing purposes to see how well those test questions are, but 125 of which are actually graded. And I honestly can't remember how many you have to have correct. But nonetheless, so what did I do in order to prepare for this exam? You know, this is something that is pretty much required by most anesthesia schools, and it's something that is actually a pretty good test of your knowledge as far as, you know, your foundational critical care knowledge, and taking it a bit of a step further. So these are actually books that I was sent by Nicole Kupchik herself. Very nice lady for doing so, that's her. But these are her books, Ace the CCRN. These are pretty much what I used. One of them is the study guide, which is a nice, it's just condensed and concise, you know, a really nice, like, you want all the nitty-gritty stuff without all the fluff. That's pretty much what this was, and I really enjoyed it. It was really helpful. Like the hemodynamic breakdown, the cardiac stuff, I'm pretty strong in. That's pretty much like my background, but I still took a lot of benefit away from those sections in here. But then also diving into endocrine and the respiratory sections was really helpful. And then this other book here was the one that has her practice tests and questions in it, and there's like 3 total 150 question tests. And it was pretty helpful, you know. I pretty much took the first test blind. I'm like, I had it in my mind, right? And let me just preface with this. If you are an ICU nurse and you're wanting to pursue anesthesia, or you just want to get your CCRN in general, you might be the kind of type A personality who's like, I've been doing this for a little bit. I feel like I got this. Let me just wing it and see how it goes, right? I've heard of people doing that. I was definitely in that mindset as well. I'm like, I might do that. Well, anyway, I took Nicole Kupchik's test, the first one. I just said, let me just not prepare anything at all. Took it, you know, did pretty darn poorly, and it was really good eye-opener, and a good thing that I did that. And then I started reviewing the actual study guide for the exam. Took the second test, did pretty well. Reviewed the entire study guide a entire second time, more in depth on the like endocrine type disorders and things of that nature that I did poorly on still on the second exam. And on the third exam, practice exam, I did really well. And by the time I took the actual CCRN, you know, I did well. I can't remember what the score was. I think I'll put it up on the screen here, but yeah, I passed the CCRN on the first go around. And one of the other things that I used to really help supplement, this right here is something that I really recommend anybody who's in critical care. This thing is amazing, man. The ICU book by Monsieur Marino. This goes very in-depth, more in-depth than you may care to go. But you may care to go this in-depth, and it's fucking phenomenal, if I'm being honest with you. It really is. And the way that it helps supplement, the way that it helps to supplement the CCRN study. Like, I think, what was it? I don't know if it was ventilation perfusion, or there was one concept in particular, maybe it was a coagulation cascade. The ICU book really helped. So anyway, I couldn't recommend that more highly enough. The actual test itself, like if I were to talk about that, the test day, I was vomiting all night going into that exam day. I was taking the exam from home. I was having a lot of computer difficulties trying to connect and get my exam pulled up, and the test was running late. I'm like a half hour late now, and I'm afraid they're not going to let me take the exam. They're reassuring me, no, it's okay. It's the technical difficulty. We'll get it squared away. And They got it squared away. I'm feeling like dog doo-doo the whole time, but got it squared away. I was able to take the exam, and I feel like it took me like 2.5 hours. I'm sometimes a slow test taker, and especially with this, I was like, I really just want to make sure that I do as well as I can. So thankfully, everything went well. These are just the resources that I used. So Nicole Kupchik's books were pretty phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed them. The fact that she sent them to me for free is like even more dope. That's phenomenal. It's been years since she did so. But thank you again, Nicole. And guys, I highly recommend them. She's pretty well known. I mean, she's like damn well known in the certification prep community, you know. So cardiac surgery certifications, cardiac medicine certifications, all of these things. I think she has content and products to offer on, but nonetheless, they're really great and they're well reviewed. And then this right here, I mean, for God's sake, if you work in the ICU and you care about furthering your education or just furthering your own current knowledge, let me just put it to you like this. I've been doing ICU now for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years at this point. I think 6 years at this point. And you get to a point where you're like, you feel confident, right? And you're like, I know my stuff. You think that you know your stuff. And that's what's so beautiful about it, right? Like there's always more to learn. And we learn things to a high critical care nursing level, but you can go deeper, right? You can go to an advanced practitioner level of study of anatomy and physiology and pathophysiology, and you can get to a med student level and just to go even deeper. And so that's what I think is most exciting about the ICU book. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about it. That's pretty much my little story about the CCRN and how I took it and passed it and what I did to prepare. I know this was like really short and I didn't go in depth, but how in depth do I really need to go? You know, the whole deal is preparation pays. So do that.